In this video, we're going to take a look at group nodes. So let's take a look here. I've created 4 buttons: button 1, button 2, button 3, button 4. Each one of them is a new button, and I've set their text to button 1, button 2, button 3. Oh, I copy and paste. I forgot a 4 there. So button 4. Okay, so each one of those buttons is created. They each have text on them. And then I've changed my root node to a group. Okay, and again, I haven't used that one before, so I'll have to come over here and click on the little light bulb and add an import for JavaFX scene.group so that can be imported. It's up here. I don't know why it didn't put it there. Probably some of my poor editing. All right. Then we have a new scene, and we're adding well, first we've added 2 buttons to that group. I have not added 4 buttons to that group. So if I run this, actually you're not going to see them because they're stacked on top of each other in the upper left-hand corner. Okay. So we have to add each one of our buttons into this root node. So we can do that. I can repeat this line 4 times, but there's actually an easier way. So when I'm doing repetitive things like that, I can shorten it up. There is an add all method. And I can say button 1, button 2, button 3, button 4. And they'll all be added. So that's a nice one. Remember what this does. It gets the current children, and then it adds whatever's there. We always have to, if we don't get the current children first and we just hit add it, it's going to overwrite. So we have to get the current members of the node first, and then we're adding on the additional ones at the end. So remember that when you're adding items. Okay. And here's our scene. And remember, the scene is basically the window. Actually, the stage is the window. The scene is within the window. But the scene does specify, the stage expands to fit the scene. So we're adding that root node, which is a group root node, to our scene, which is set to be 300 by 250. And that's the number of pixels wide and the number of pixels tall. Let's run that. Again, we have all 4 buttons on there now. I only see button 4 because it was the last one added. It's on top of button 3, and button 3 is on top of button 2. So let's see what we can do to move some things around. Let's come back up here. I've got everything added. Let's go ahead and configure some of our buttons. Button 1. Set layout. And I can give it a number. Set layout Y. And I'll tell it 100. So what is this doing? It's changing its Y position to pixel 100. So let's run that and see what happened to button 1. And button 1's moved down here to 100. Remember, this is, I believe, 250 tall. So the spot in the upper left-hand corner is where button 1 was set, and that is 0, 100. Okay, so we can start moving our buttons around by calling these set layouts. Let's do button 2. Set layout. Okay, and I have the option of doing X or Y. Let's move button 2 over to the right by, we're 300 wide. Let's put it at about 130. Okay, so we've moved button 2 over to the X. I kill this and run it again. All right, so button 2 got moved over on the X axis to 130. All right, let's try something a little more creative. let's create a nav. Let's do a H box. And I'm going to call it nav. And this is going to be an area to keep buttons that let us navigate our application. All right, we'll have to import HBox. And let's see what we can do to that. For my root, I don't think I want to do this. We have to think about the order we want to do it in. So let's do this. Instead of root, let's add nav. We'll get nav's children, and we'll add all the buttons to the nav. Okay, now that's an HBox, so I can't really do set layout for that. Let me do that. Okay, so we've added all our buttons to this horizontal box that is eventually going to be within our root. So we probably need to add that. So let's call it root, and we'll get its children, which right now it doesn't have any. And we'll add nav to our root. So think about what we have here. We've created a root, a group, and we've created a horizontal box for nav. Okay. We've added all the buttons to this horizontal box, and we've added the horizontal box into the root where we can move it around. So let's see. I don't want to do too much without testing. So there we have our horizontal box. Our buttons are laid out nice and neatly within that horizontal box. Okay. And then that horizontal box was added to the root node. Okay, so we've got nodes inside of nodes here. I probably want to move my, let's try and move our buttons down and see if we can get them centered. So let's take our nav and set layout Y. Let's move it down. Let's try 200. And we'll run that. And you can see that it moved our nav buttons down closer to the bottom of the screen. I think I want a little bit closer to the bottom than that. So let's maybe try 250. That's too much because now they're down. Our height was only set to 250. Let's try and back it up. And there, yeah, that looks pretty good. They must be about 25 high because now they take the bottom. And I can set the layout for X. I don't know. We'll set it over by 20 and see how it looks. I left the app running. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Maybe that needs to be 25 to get it more evenly spaced. But we can play with it, find out positioning for things. So nodes inside nodes, everything works just fine. It's just a matter of determining which nodes give you the layout that's most logical for your application.